Alright, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going over the Bootstrap 4 tutorial from Quackit.com. And I know I keep doing a lot of review, but so far we've done what is Bootstrap, getting started, containers and grid system. That was our first video. Then we went to topography, tables, forms and custom forms for our second video. Buttons, images, drop-downs and button groups for our third video. And our last video was on input groups, collapse, navs, and nav bars. Alright, so today I'm going to pick it up with breadcrumbs, and we'll also discuss in this video pagination, badges rather, and the Jumbotron. So let's get to it. We've all seen breadcrumbs before, and breadcrumbs basically provide a path to kind of where you currently are on a website. Alright, you add breadcrumbs in Bootstrap, as mentioned here, by adding a single class name, that meaning .breadcrumb class, which styles a list into breadcrumbs. Alright, so here's an example. Bootstrap, as it says, adds separators automatically to the list, as well as a display inline block, meaning that it'll go on one line. So let's try to take this, copy to the clipboard. We have been working on an example here. Okay, and let's see, you got our nav bars, link 1, link 2, link 3, you've got some space there, that's all fine. Let's put the breadcrumbs right underneath our nav bar. Again, class equal breadcrumb. We've got our items. Now we're hard coding these in there. Home, fruit, and pears, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but I just wanted you to see, for lack of better words, what this looks like. And there it is. Okay, and it looks like I better put some open up some space after that. And it's still not giving it to me. I think it's because I needed to put this in a different area. All right, this isn't that important. The important fact is we do have the navigation there via the breadcrumbs. This is a learning process, and as I'm sure you realize, it's a learning process for me as well. I was used to doing things in a certain way in Bootstrap 3. Some of them have changed, and to be honest with you, I don't have a boatload of experience doing this. Most of it is off the top of my head or watching videos or whatever. So to create a breadcrumb, as you said, or as you saw, I should say, we added the breadcrumb class to our UL. We added the breadcrumb items to each LI. All right, so there was the class. There was the breadcrumb class, the breadcrumb item classes. We added the class equal active to the one that was the active class. As it says, breadcrumbs don't necessarily need to be a list. You can make them in other ways as well. So they're making them here, and they're just making them as, in this case, as hyperlinks. They don't go anywhere in this case, but you see that. That's it. Now that was very short. Let's jump into pagination. As it says, we're able to create previous next or next end controls with Bootstrap's pagination class. And the class is .pagination. Notice it's typically where you have navigation that links to multiple pages within a series. For example, search results that return many pages may have pagination to allow you to navigate to the next page or jump forward to many pages if you want to do that. So, to create default pagination, you add the class equal pagination to the UL element, and you add the page item to each LI element. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to grab this nav that's in here, copy it to the clipboard, and to try to clean this up a little bit, I'm going to remove, for now at least, other than our buttons, let's say, we'll remove everything else that we have in here. And this nav tag, I guess, as well. And we'll come in here and just paste this in. Let's take a look at it, and we can come back and let's run it, come back and take a look at it. So there it is. You can see it was fairly easy to do. Whoops. And if we take a look at what we've done here, okay, now this would again allow us to jump to a different page. As of right now, it's just hyperlinked to the current page. This could go to a different site. This could go to a different page within the same site, whatever it happened to be. So again, that's what you saw. The active state. So if we want, we can decide which class will be the one that's highlighted. And you see that right here, page item active. Again, most of this stuff, you should probably guess, is pretty much intuitive as far as the way that it works. We can disable a class. So you'll notice that 4 now, which before was highlighted, is now disabled. So instead of active as we saw previously, it's disabled in here. Pagination size, notice we can make it large or we can make it small. And if we look at the difference between these, I think this is the default. Always, again, consider your crowd, consider the medium in which you're creating this. If I know that the majority of the people using this are going to be on cell phones, of course I'm going to have that smaller size in there. All right. If I know that many of the people who use this site for whatever reason, maybe they're the elderly and they're going to be using laptops and desktops, I might want to use a larger one. But again, I might want to be able to scale. All right, let's jump into badges. Badges, depending on your point of view, are really kind of cool or they're really kind of stupid. All right, the badge class, as it says, can be used to highlight additional information that's appended to a string of text. So if we look, you see it's stuff like this. So if we look at the example here, get rid of all this UL info that we have here. Let's get rid of the nav and just paste that in. All right, so it's class as badge and we're just using the default. And you can see we get the word new and you can see the way that it looks. As you probably guess, with the usual subjects in here, you can use contextual classes, which will change the coloring for these. Again, we can put these in. It's no biggie one way or the other. So let's replace the one that we have in here, this H3. Let's replace it with these div tags. Okay, and there they are. We can blow this up so you can see it a little better. There you go. All right, again, would you want to do that? The point is not that at all. The point is that's another thing that's available to you if you have an interest in it. All right, you can also have pills with the badges. What's the difference? Well, notice the look on this. In fact, let's look at the look when we ran it. Right here. It's a semi-rounded look, but if we go back and change these, so again, all we have in here right now is badge and badge default. Now we're having badge pill, default, primary, etc. But it's badge pill is the big thing here. And again, look at it, refresh, and you can see it's much more rounded looking now. All right. To me, a lot of this stuff, maybe it's a good analogy, maybe it's not. I equate these to ties, men's ties or women's ties, doesn't matter. But Remember years ago I was going to throw a tie out, and my wife said, "Why are you throwing that out?" I said, "It's wide. It's never going to come back in style." She said, "Keep it. It'll come back in style." Just like wide ties, narrow ties, etc. Well, rounded buttons, not so rounded buttons, etc. It just changes with the times. And that's it. So I believe we have now in this section, we discussed breadcrumbs, paginations, and badges. I guess that's 3. So let's go in and do breadcrumbs, paginations, badges. Let's do the Jumbotron. All right, then we're finished. Remember, the Jumbotron is by default the way that you typically see. All right, the way that stuff will look at the front of your site. So as it says, draw major attention with a Bootstrap Jumbotron, ideal for marketing messages and for calls to action. So let's just use a simple one here. So I'm going to literally remove everything, except I'll keep those buttons. I kind of like a little bit of content in there. So I'll keep those buttons that we have down toward the bottom, and I'll go in and add. So again, we've got our div class equal container. And then we've got our Jumbotron. I don't know if you agree with this, but again, notice that by me going in here and just doing a little bit of tabbing, I make this so much easier to realize what's with what. All right, really this whole thing should be inside of that div, that container div. Whoops, so I should have done all of this. Like that. Looks a lot nicer. All right. So if we run this, again, the goal here is to see the Jumbotron. There it is. Now there's not much in there, and also please realize that sometimes when you create the Jumbotron, especially if you've got a nav bar or something at the top, you're going to want to put some top margin or some top padding or both in there to make it look more acceptable, more professional, etc. If you use Jumbotron Fluid, it's going to take up the whole screen. So we should be able to just come back into the example we have here and change that to Jumbotron Fluid. And again, we should immediately be able to see the difference, see how it doesn't go off to the side. And now it does. All right, we seem to have lost our coloring in here also, so we have to add that back. Again, it's not that big a thing. In fact, let's use their example. Again, just striving for some consistency here. There, the coloring's back, and we don't have the fluidness, but I don't know why. Jumbotron Fluid. Not sure why that is not working right now. It was there. I don't know if it's because, probably it's because we've got the container in there on the outside. And since we have the container in there on the outside, all right, then what's happening is this container class right here, that is making this not be fluid because this isn't fluid. So I think if we came back here and added dash fluid to this, probably, it would look the way we wanted it to look. And there you go. All right. Again, please take a look in here and realize that quite often in here what the author does is goes in and talks about the differences between Bootstrap 4, which is the newest one that's coming out, and Bootstrap 3. All right, so we've come to the end now. So we've hit on about 20 of these 32. And we just finished up with a Jumbotron. So we're going to go in next into alerts, modals, progress bars, and media objects. And I'll be back with that shortly.